Hi, welcome to our video. My name's Fred. I hope this is a great jump start into the game of foosball for you, and one day we can meet on the table. Now let's talk about the table. This is the foosball table. It has rods, it has men, it has a ball, it has handles. This is the table. The rods are named by the number of men. This is the 3 rod. The midfield is the 5 rod. The defenders is the 2 rod. Some tables have a single goalie. Some tables like this one have 3 people as a goalie. The reason they do that is because they don't need to have the corner as a ramp. They can put the ball back in play with the man. This is the 2 rod, the 5 rod, the 3 rod, and I call this one the goalie rod. The rod has men on it. The men have a face that tells you where the front and where the back is. You'll notice the toe is not symmetrical. It's a different angle for the front as it is for the back. The back of the toe is for catching and gripping. The front of the toe is for striking and passing. We also use the side of the toe. Some tables have a very narrow side of the toe. They're more challenging to pass. Some have a very wide and flat side of the toe. They're easier to pass. The man sometimes has a counterweight. What that means is when you leave it like this, it stays. On some tables, it would fall down for the weightier side. This is put on the bar with a spring in here called a pin that you hammer in and hammer out when you want to change. This is a bumper. It keeps it from hurting the man. The ball obviously is round. But you don't just buy it round, it's a strong enough material that it stays round. What that means is when you move it around, it will stop. If it loses its roundness, it'll move around too much and it will never stop. This one is also fairly hard. That's also another reason why it doesn't go out of shape too easily. It's also very grippy. How they do that is they put this in a machine to sand it down, allowing us to now grab it and control it very, very well. So, the table, the rods, the men, here are the handles. The handles are also put on with a pin, so they stay in place. This handle is very good for a number of grips. We'll talk about the grips a little bit later on. The scoring markers, most games are up to 5. If you're playing in a tournament and you score 5, that's the game. This is for your game count. You win the second game, it comes over here. Small events are the best 2 out of 3, now you have a winner. The larger events, it's 3 out of 5. If it's 2-2, you're in the final game, and the goal count is 4-4. 4 for you, 4 for your opponent. The next goal does not win. In the last game, you must win by 2. So it might go 5 and 5, 6 and 6, 7 and 7. It's only when you go to the 8th and final marker that you can win by 1. Normally the last game is win by 2, up to a maximum of 8. Of course, the goal is right here. And to actually let us number this, we would have holes number 1, 2, 3 would be right in the middle, 4, and 5. That allows us to tell you about where we're scoring on which hole of the goal. These markers here also tell you where you can set up for the various holes. Why this has more than 5 is there a feature called dead man. Dead man is where you move this man over, this man over, this man over, this man over. Eventually he dies. This man cannot go here because of the design of the table. But I might be able to shoot just around him. That would be called going dead man, going around the outside this man can reach. Over on this side, over here, going across, going across, going across, and once again, the dead man hole. That's why there's 7 of these markers. We have the holes in the side. Historically, we would start the game by putting it in the hole and serving it. Now what we do instead is we have what's called a ready protocol. We flip a coin. If I win, I get the first serve. I don't just start when I want. I ask my opponent, ready. Within a reasonable time period, they either say okay or timeout. If they say okay, I begin the game by touching 3 men. 1, 2, 3, now I can pass. If I do it too soon, ready, they say ready, 1, 2, that would be an illegal pass. I have to do it again. And if I repeated that and did it a second time, I would lose the ball. That would be a foul. When I score a goal, yes, I take my goal, I mark it up. It now is this person's start. They start with a ready protocol, ready, starting with the middle man. They touch 3 men, they advance the ball. Timeouts. If you have control of the ball and you want to take a timeout, the ball does not have to be moving, but the ball has to be in your control. You say timeout or you make this symbol. What that now means is both teams have 30 seconds to talk, get a glass of water, do whatever they want. When both teams are ready, just like you did over here, from the point of where you took the timeout, you begin with the ready protocol. Ready? Yes. Touch 3. And you go. So now the stance. So the stance begins by coming up to the table. Right away, I know you're not an experienced player because what you've done is you've cut off your follow through. What you must do is change your stance. Go right to the end where now you have a lot of power and you're very uncomfortable. So now get comfortable. What's happening is as my elbow comes down, now I'm very comfortable. I've done 2 things. One is I've moved my legs to the left. The second thing I did was I moved my right foot back. Now what I can do is I can follow through and I'm comfortable with the elbow coming down, which means the toe comes up. And now I have power. The second thing I can do now is I have full left to right movement. Here, no power, no left to right, left, right foot back, power, and full left to right movement. If I'm attacking from the 5 bar, now I can move to the other side. Because what I need now is I need my left elbow being able to go very low. So here, I can get good power now. Here I can't. Now I can. Right side. Good stance. There's a number of different shots that have won the World Championship for the last 30 or 40 years. I like to group those by the grip that is used for that shot. Here's the first grip, grip number 1. Here's grip number 2. Here's grip number 3. Let's name those grips. Grip number 1, hand grip. My hand is closed. There's no light, there's no air. It's like I'm holding a hammer. This is very good grip for the pull shot, the push shot, the pull kick, the push kick. Here it comes. The next shot is a hinge. So what's happening is the man is coming halfway back and then going forward. Halfway back, then going forward. The problem is if I use grip number 1, my thumb gets in the way and it cuts down on the speed or velocity of my shot. If instead of that, I put my thumb to the right, that allows me now to do a big wind-up and my thumb does not get in the way. Because of that reason, this is now called the open hand grip. Here's the closed hand. There's the open hand. Grip number 2, the open hand grip, used for a shot called the European front toe. Here it comes. Grip number 3 is called a snake shot grip. Of course, it's used for the snake shot. And what it does, it allows you to use a continuous 360-degree spin. For that to work now, I grip my hand around the rod like a snake does around the branch of a tree. Now, is this legal? Well, because I'm gripping it on the heel of my toe, and I strike it with the front of the toe, It's just less than 360 degrees. And after I strike it, I get another 360 degrees. I don't even come close to, and that makes it legal. So this would be illegal. This would be illegal because that was more than 360, either before or after, but this would be legal. Grip number 1, grip number 2, grip number 3. Closed hand, open hand, snake shot grip. In this game, you don't just shoot the ball as soon as you can, because then it makes it easy where and when you're going to shoot. You're opportunistic, you're speedy, that's fine, but it's nowhere near as good as having a strategy. So we need that. For that, we use what's called ball control. So then what happens when the ball's coming up the table, I don't just shoot it, I gather it in, I control it. Then I move it from rod to rod to rod to rod. This first ball control is called a tic-tac. The name is tic-tac, 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 tic-tac. Because I have 3 men, if I want to miss it, we call it a weave. Every tick and every tack, I'm adjusting my man so I don't lose control of the ball. Once you get good at it, you should be able to do this for a long period of time. The next one is much harder. This is called a cradle. A baby sleeps in a nice, soft cradle. So what's happening is you go to meet the ball and you move with the ball and slow it down gently. Tic-tac, cradle, cradle. If I move the ball slowly, we call that a drag. Drag, release, cradle. Drag, release, cradle. Tic-tac, drag, release, cradle. Tic-tac, cradle. I tic-tac when I want to change direction. I cradle when I want to stop the ball. And I drag it when I want to move it or adjust it. So if I want the ball coming forward, I move my toe back. And now when I drag it, the ball will go forward. If when I drag it, I move my toe even further ahead, the ball will go back. So dragging it will allow me to reposition the ball more in the middle, more forward, set it up. The final thing we can do is called a pin. What I do in the pin is I get a tic-tac going, and then the middleman stops and moves further back. And what I'm attempting to do is to move the man so far back that I contact the ball on the front left corner of the man. 2 things will happen. If the man is stopped, it'll slow the ball down, and because I'm hitting on the corner, it'll change direction 90 degrees. And that allows me to go and grab it at the front. This is called a front pin. Reverse that. Try it again. Reverse that, and I have a back pin. Front pin, back pin. Drag, cradle, tic-tac, pin, ball control. So that allows me to now grab control of the ball, move it around, put it position where the man is not defending, and hopefully score. Ball position is integral to everything you do successfully. Shooting better, passing better, defending better, ball control is a foundation. When I'm controlling the ball, I'm normally using grip number 1, my closed hand grip. Then after I get the ball in position, then I'm going to switch to whatever grip I want. Number 2, the open hand, or number 3, the snake shot. Ball control, choose my grip, and shoot. So we say ready, our opponent says ready, we touch 3 men, we pass it, we catch it. Now the shots. These shots are world famous. They've won every world championship for the last 30 years. Just as you can shoot those shots on your 3-bar, you can also shoot those shots on your 2-bar. On your 2-bar, there's 3 different positions we care about. Your setup or starting point, your release point or where the shot actually happens, and finally, the point where it goes in the goal. 1, 2, and 3. Now the card's going to move a little bit, but just so you can see what I'm talking about, 1, 2, 3, right in the hole. To get them out of the way, I'll move these just down a little bit, still referencing the same spots, not getting in the way. If I want to have a further spot on the goal, maybe midway, all that I do is I have a longer drag and release point. If I want to go further yet, I have an even longer drag and release point. And how you find this out is you practice your shot so you get very powerful into the first hole, the middle hole, and the last hole. And you memorize where the release point is for those various shots. 1, 2, 3. Near, middle, far. So this will tell you where your release point should be. Now, that first grouping of shots is called a spray. What that means is this motion here plus this motion here results in a more than 90-degree trajectory for the ball when it's shot. More than 90. If they anticipate that and move to where they think the ball is going defensively, you'll be happy that you now have an alternate way of shooting it, which is a 90-degree shot. This is called a square. I must do 2 things for the square to work. The first thing is I must draw the ball back. Here I'm drawing it back even too far. That's called a pinch point. I want to draw it back just short of the pinch point. So it gets a little bit of friction, a little bit of pressure, but it still shoots out this way. It's like this. And what happens there is I do 2 things. 1 is I draw it back to the pinch point, and 2 is I recoil in the opposite direction. So a pull shot turns into a push shot. And what that allows me to do now is to have 90-degree, not more than 90-degree trajectory for my shot. So this release point would go in the near hole, or the middle, or the far. I now have 6 different shots. Spray to the first hole, spray to the middle hole, spray to the last hole, square to the first hole, square to the middle hole, square to the last hole. But I'm not finished. If I prefer, this square to the final hole is very difficult. I can turn my pull shot into a pull kick. I can do that for any hole I want. All I have to do is just move to that point. So, shoot with this man is a pull shot, pass and shoot with this man is a pull kick. If I reverse it, now I have a push shot. Push spray, push square, push kick. I can also shoot European front toe. So I've changed my grip to grip number 2. I move my ball back and forth. I move further than the ball, wind up, come back to the ball, and shoot it. So this is grip number 2. I'm dancing the ball left, dancing the ball right, and shoot it like this. We normally do not do snake shots from the back. It's a terrific shot, but it's not good in terms of your passing options. So let's talk about passing options. The defenders are so afraid of your shots that they use all the men they can to block all your shots. But you're not worried. Because what you've noticed is they've left open a pass. I can pass here, I can pass here, I can pass here. And what I'm doing is I'm using a little bit about what I've already learned, the pinch point. If I bring it back to the pinch point, but not quite, this has a secondary name. So just short of the pinch point is called a brush. Now, in the morning when you brush your hair, the brush goes across your hair and it pulls out all the knots. You stay on your hair a little long. That's different from this. That's almost like a tic-tac. So this is one shot. This is another shot. If I pull the ball back, stay touching the ball, I can now angle my shot or my pass. So that's a brush pass. This is called a stick pass. It's called a stick pass because normally how you do it, as you do it, it sticks to the catching man. Let's try that again. It sticks to the catching man. The final option is you chip it. Brush is striking here. Stick is here with a gap. A chip is where, if you imagine, suppose this was a circular piece of ice, and you want to chip a little piece out of it. What you intentionally do is you don't strike with the front. You strike with a corner of the man on purpose. And what it does is it gives it such an angle that hopefully it goes right in the goal. So, brush pass, stick pass, chip shot.